Thanks, Elizabeth. Reverse the ruling. That's the outcry from a group of Muslims in the state of New Jersey who say the New York City Police Department's surveillance program violates their civil rights. But should safety trump privacy? Joining us right now is criminal defense attorney and former Morris County, New Jersey prosecutor, Robert Bianchi. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Steve.
Okay, so in the past, the surveillance program, which a lot on the left have said, you can't do that, it's been upheld by the courts. And now the Court of Appeals down in Philly is taking a look at it, whether or not it is legal. You say what about it?
Law enforcement has to use the rule of common sense when they're doing investigations, and they're interdicting in the communities in which there could be a problem, whether it's a gang case, whether it's a mob case. You will see them go into these communities, try to develop actionable intelligence. No constitutional rights are being violated unless they go into the areas of the Fourth Amendment, which is search and seizure, warrants, wiretaps, things of this nature. They're just gathering intelligence.
So they're not hanging a wiretap on the wall and leaving in the mosque. What they're doing is they're just going in and listening.
Yeah, I think this
is public places.
Yeah, when I was the head prosecutor, I think this is something that used to confuse people. It may, from a policy point of view, not be something that is good, because some people who are innocent will feel victimized, will feel that they're being targeted.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that it's unconstitutional.
Sure.
If they have a specific tailored reason for going in there in order to gain actionable intelligence, after they get that intelligence, if it leads to criminality, then they can go to the judiciary and get warrants, wiretaps,
Sure,
and actually try to start to construct a criminal case.
Let's back up a little bit to what you said a moment ago. This is essentially the same thing that prosecutors have done, law enforcement has done in the past with the mob. So the way they get into the mob is the same way they have infiltrated these communities.
Yeah, listen, when you have a serious criminal risk, and obviously it's a cost-benefit analysis, terrorism is obviously substantial. You don't do that by sitting behind a desk. You have to get into the community. You have to develop informants. You have to get information, gather information, run down leads. And then, of course, it needs to be tailored and specific. If there are groups that are not involved in terrorism, if there are groups and individuals that aren't doing anything wrong, then they need to be disregarded. It can't be to the level where it becomes harassment. But what they need to do is get out into the community.
Sure.
You don't do it by waving a magic wand. You got to get out there.
Absolutely. Here's what Bear Omzi, the legal director at the Center for Constitutional Rights, says. He says, quote, "This is a blunderbuss, suspicionless surveillance program where the only search criterion is religion." What do you say about that, Robert?
Well, it's not religion. I mean, obviously, we all know that every religious practice has individuals in it that are doing something that's not appropriate. What it is targeting criminals. If there is a risk that there is a criminal that is operating within a religious sector or a religious group, then that's where they go. If they're operating in social clubs, that's where they go. And we do know from history, and you have to use the rule of common sense, that some of the terrorist-related activities, 9/11 included,
Sure,
emanated out of these religious institutions. So unfortunately, that's what drove law enforcement to that location.
Right, and if they're not breaking the law, you would think that they could go in and just listen.
Well, listen, I get the idea. Listen, the Italian-American community dealt with this, and I was on the front edge of this. I mean, some of the legitimate claims that these people have is that you may be on a list. Your name may be on
Sure,
there, and you may be doing absolutely nothing wrong. And that is a concern, and that's why law enforcement needs to make sure it tailors itself, that those people that are innocent don't get trapped into this kind of thing where it affects their lives.
Absolutely.
But nevertheless, they need to be there in order to get the bad guys.
Absolutely, because there are a lot of bad guys out there.
Absolutely.
Robert Bianchi, thank you very much.
You got it, Steve.
All right.